Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day market recap for Wednesday. Just looking at how we finished for the day on the daily chart, S&P actually continued to sell off here a little bit. I didn't actually notice that. SPY finished down about 35 basis points, but you could see S&P futures actually trailed off here in the last 15 minutes while futures are still open after 1600 or after 4 p.m. So same thing with Nasdaq futures. So I didn't realize that it was kind of today was basically a very choppy day. There was some back and forth trading to do, some scalping to do, which we did, and we kind of found the movers today in the trading room, which was very nice. But yeah, it looked like things were fine right around. I would have said today if we would have finished around 1530, basically almost a flat day. But we actually came back to the lows, so we'll have to see how this. How this works its way out and the works its way through in the overnight markets. I don't like the 15 or 20 basis points that we gave up there in the last 20 minutes, but it is what it is. So it's basically, when you look at these charts, basically just an inside day. We retraced. If you look at that big Nasdaq bar from Tuesday, we retraced about 40% of that bar. So same thing, I think, in S&P. Maybe a little bit more than that. IWM was the market outperformer, but is still kind of sick. So still underneath the 200-day moving average. So whenever I do these videos, I always get the negative out of the way first, and then I'll talk about the positives. But I would say the negative of the day was the transports, as well as the home builders with lows. But I'll hit the transports first. It was the airlines that were really, really weak. So now this is a firm break below the 200-day moving average. So it's again, it looked like we came back. We were trying to fight back a little bit here at the end of the day, but we gave it back. So transports continues to be ugly, and I would say that's probably your biggest concern right now. I would say transports that concerns me. The airlines continue to move down here, so it kind of is a mystery to me. If somebody knows why these things are down as much as they are, I don't know. Is Buffett selling? I mean, he took big stakes in these, and they've just gotten pummeled. I mean, we're talking about from American Airlines. Just a month ago, mid-July was a $54 stock. It's $44 now, and it's the same story in all of them. There's not really one that's kind of been unscathed. It's Delta. It kind of just seems like the whole group is being sold. So, and we don't really see it in the numbers, like the traffic numbers. Again, maybe I'm missing something. So this to me is a big question mark. And then you look at Priceline. You would think if the airlines are going down, travel sites should be going down as well. So I haven't been able to figure out if it's a buying opportunity. I tried to do that in the airlines around the 200-day moving average. It didn't work, and we broke, and I got out of them for the most part. So Expedia too, right? I mean, Expedia actually had a decent day. It was up today. So something just doesn't feel right with this. What's been going on in this group? Either these travel names are going to be a really interesting sell here, or the airlines are a dip buy, and I haven't figured out what's the better yet. So, or I haven't really put on a trade to capitalize either. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a pair trade. Maybe it's just short Expedia and Priceline and go long a couple of the airlines at this point. Something to consider a little bit further. Maybe I'll be back in tomorrow's video with that one. Also, the home builders, there was new home sales today, which were a little bit lighter than expectations. But listen, these are starting to break down as well. This has been a name that's been one of the best performers year to date and is starting to break down. I think it's right at the 100-day moving average, the home building ETF, which is ITB. Again, XHB is different. XHB, I know it's called the home building ETF, but this is more retail companies. This has already broken through the 100-day moving average. So, we definitely got some cracks here. I talked about, the big outflow in consumer discretionary. I don't have my spreadsheet up from this morning, but consumer discretionary has seen this ETF alone has seen about $1 billion in outflows over the week. So people are liquidating. and getting out of consumer discretionary. And it's the biggest holding in this, the biggest weight is Amazon. Home Depot, Walt Disney, McDonald's, Priceline is in this, but there's mass liquidation, I would say, going on in this. It's $1 billion that have come out. You can see the volume. So I don't have the fund flows up here, but I go over this every day pre-market. So if you're not watching that, you can look at my first post in the morning from this morning and from yesterday. Bloomberg was actually out with an article on this today. I was out with it yesterday, so I'm giving myself a little pat on the back. I'd like to be a day or two ahead of everybody else on the street. So that is the negative. Like I said, I always get the negative out of the way. The positive, steel names. I mean, my goodness, SLX. This is the steel ETF. Starting to really build up a little bit of momentum here. Let's see if we can get out of this. I am long SLX in cash. I got long on the first break of the 200-day moving average. I think maybe I waited for the confirmation of the 50, but you could see some. Or the 100-day, but you could see this is starting to look pretty good with a rising yellow line, which is the 200-day moving average. Same thing with XME. That's another ETF, metals and mining. Also broke the 200-day moving average. So if you're not in this group, you got a fresh break higher of the 200-day moving average, and for a $31 stock to go long in cash, I don't think is that hard to do. So easy trade. I always say these are easy trades. Why are they easy trades? Because you know exactly where to bail on it. Break of the 200-day moving average, go ahead and stay long, as a trend trader says to, and then if it breaks back below the 200-day moving average, get out of it. So that should not be that painful, I would think, unless you get something crazy that happens. So what else? So those were really the strong performers. Alcoa, which I put on yesterday, we saw a big order in Alcoa yesterday. This thing was up 3.5% today. So I actually got out of this trade, the whole thing today, which is kind of a user error. I had targets out, but I had pretty narrow targets. So I can get back into it tomorrow if it happens to maybe get an inside day. I don't think they unwound that trade from yesterday. If you go back and look at yesterday, there was 13,000 of the OCT 42 calls. So really nice. I got into this trade, I think, for around $1.40 yesterday, and took it off. Yeah, $1.40. Took it off for $2.10 today. So, that's what 7.7 divided by 1.4. So yeah, it's a 50% profit. 50% profits in one day. I'm happy to kind of take it and run with it, just for basically just holding overnight and watching it for the day. A couple other scalping opportunities. Apple, from the lows today, had a couple of traders play this, right on the first bar today. So good job. Wasn't a huge winner, but was okay. I kind of just waited a little bit just to see if things were going to hold the lows, and I caught Tesla for a long today, and I caught it like on not the first break here. I think I caught it here for a long, and this was a real beauty today. Maybe the end of this bar I caught it. So again, day trade, took the risk off. Why did I do that? Because it's running into this resistance. I said in the beginning of the day, I said if we can get a run to 354.21. So I sold it on this bar right here. So really nice day trade for Tesla. So that's it. I really didn't do much of other trading today. Other things that performed well: the Chinese internets continue to do well. The KWEB ETF was up another 1%. Energy climbed today after the Department of Energy numbers, so nice little bounce finally in the energy names. And this is a name that I just continue to avoid. Or an area that you get so many questions, I think, from that you hear in financial media about energy is such a is a buy here, it's cheap. I mean, sure, it's going to bounce from every now and then, but really I don't really want to. I don't care for names that are in these big downtrends. We saw some call buying a couple of days back in the whole MLP group. AMLP saw 10,000 contracts trade today in this ETF. 2 days back, which was probably a decent dip by names like BWP, PAA, PAGP. So three different MLP names saw dip buying when this, I mean, this thing was really oversold. So we covered this earlier in the week. It was a 14 RSI, which is extremely oversold. So that's pretty much where the airlines are getting, by the way. I mean, if you look at this, what's the RSI on here? It's a 20 on American Airlines. So this group may be ripe for a dip buy. It's 26 on Delta. Maybe it takes out this VPOC and then does a reversion. Something again. Sorry, I'm going back to the airlines, but I think they're making some very interesting moves. So that's the positives and the negatives of the day. Just to kind of review, the semiconductor group also did pretty good today. Nvidia, really strong day today, up 2%. AMD was strong today, so really nice. I mean, this thing on the 200-day moving average has done. I'll say knock on wood because I'm still long this name, but you know, it has done pretty well bouncing on this 200-day moving average. A couple other things. Google. I readjusted a trade today in Google. Finally, an MACD crossover. Looks like it's materializing in Google. I would still like to see this thing get above, you know, even above the 50-day moving average would be nice. The 20 just kind of closed right at the 20-day moving average. Small gain today, but you know, maybe we get a swing opportunity here with the MACD crossover. Just further in terms of option activity today, yeah. So we did see some AMD. I saw a little bit of Apple, the usual BABA trade in the morning. Couple other names, TSEM made a 52-week high, so there's definitely pockets of strength, especially in these semiconductor names. I did not chase this trade today. I thought about it a couple times. Xilinx was also the name of the day, I would say. So this, another name that bounced. I looked at this as soon as there was rumors about SoftBank making an investment when the candle was about a quarter of the size this morning. So I said, you know, this thing looks really nice in terms of the technicals. Kind of looks like AMD, right on the 200-day moving average. So you got an MACD crossover today with this, but later, you know, they actually bought some calls, you know, after just about 3/4 of this bar was complete, and they bought some December calls in Xilinx, which should be on my spreadsheet here. There it is, December 60. So nice to see that when they go out a little bit further. You know, for instance, we saw some Ocleros today, which was another name that popped. All the optical names popped on some rumors going on. I think of a China investment. I may have that wrong, maybe the wrong rumor, but there was a rumor. It caused all the optical names to go up. AAOI, Finisar, a couple other names moved up as well. But you know, when you see this, to me, you know, okay, somebody's looking to play, like, you know, the momentum just for the day, basically, or maybe tomorrow too. It's much more substantial to me when somebody goes out, you know, and looks at, they're going further out. They're like, hey, I'm putting a bigger chip down and I'm going out to December. Much more notable to me for my trading than somebody just buying, tagging on after they see a couple green bars in Oclero. AMBA, I'm not sure if I mentioned that one as well. That's one where we saw call buying in yesterday, not call buying, but a big call spread yesterday in AMBA, which I had on my recap note yesterday. This was the October 55.60 call spread that happened yesterday, 5,000 times that traded, and then today we had more of an aggressive all the way up to February call buyer. You know, I looked at this name too. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy a whole bunch of semi names. I would be a little bit more comfortable. I know it's a little bit away, but maybe waiting until it gets above the 200-day moving average. So again, you have to be a little bit disciplined with this market right now in August, and not take every trade on the tape. That's at least what I'm doing. I'm not taking every trade that we see on the tape. There's some weeklies going up in Twitter today. Twitter, we've seen some call buying in this week. Video is past 14 minutes, so I'm going to call it the day. But you could see, again, a decent amount of option activity in a very choppy market today. So we'll see how tomorrow plays out. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow in the trading room. Thanks.